13 ABC. Conklin and Company with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin and Company. Today on the program, the president's gay marriage stance, the evolving of that stance, the impact here in Ohio, and on the election come November. That and more in Take 3 with Michael Miller from the Free Press. Also, let's go racing. We're going to visit with the president of the Automobile Racing Club of America, or ARCA. So much to talk about on the racing front here close to home. But first, the push to restructure, reform, overhaul, whatever you want to call it, Lucas County government, an idea that's been discussed for some time now, but the group Citizens for a Better Lucas County launching a petition drive in an effort to give you a choice in November. Two representatives from this group joining us this morning, Tom Palmer and Scott Hamner. Thanks to both of you for being here. And this is not the first time that we've heard about restructuring or reforming county government, but we're getting more down to the nitty-gritty, Tom. Tell us where you stand right now in this effort.
We've got a proposed charter after the study commission came out last June, a proposed charter for home rule county government. We're in the midst of a petition drive. The drive has to be completed by the end of June. We need 20-some thousand signatures so that we can get 14,000 ballot signatures. And it's a proposal to the community for home rule county charter government in a structured way that you'll probably want to ask about.
Yeah, and Scott, let's what home rule? Maybe you can tell us what that's all about and break that down a little bit. What is home rule county government?
Well, basically, under Ohio law, county governments only have the rights, they can only do things that are empowered to do under the Ohio Constitution and certain statutes. But with home rule, it allows the local government to kind of set its own destiny a little bit more and pass legislation that might be more responsive to its citizens.
Local government, maybe a Monclova Township or a Springfield Township, is that what you're talking about specifically, down to those?
Well, no, actually, that's a very important distinction to be made. People probably have heard the concept of home rule with municipalities, broad governmental powers. Counties, as Scott has mentioned, are creatures of the state with statutorily enabling provisions to do administrative things dictated by the statute. Adopting a home rule charter permits the county to have broader forms of government and, importantly, to structure the government in a fashion that the citizens of the county desire. The home rule powers given to the government, though, the county government, do not intrude on the municipalities' governance or the township governance. It's important that nothing will change.
They still have their say at the table.
They have their say at the table. This does not intrude that in any way.
And in fact, the proposed charter very clearly states that this is not a takeover of whatever the townships are doing now or powers that they have, they still have them.
Let's take a look. We do have a graphic of what. Let's break down this in somewhat simple terms. And Scott and Tom, maybe you can break this down. The county executive, and this is where we have 3 county commissioners. This is where it changes, correct? You eliminate the county commissioners, or per se, right?
Yes. The county commissioners have the broad legislative powers, administrative powers. This breaks down to an executive branch headed by a county executive elected directly by the electorate, and a consul, again directly elected by the directorate, with districts across the county for representative involvement by all the segments of the county, 3 elected at large, and then the county executive would appoint a chief physical officer, a sheriff, a medical examiner, and an engineer.
All right now elected by voters,
and so
right?
It's consolidated. The executive power then is, and functions are consolidated under the chief executive. The legislative powers are in the consul, much like a city council. Here would be a county council.
District and at large.
Yes, and they have the powers to budget, approve a budget, affirm the recommended officers appointed by the chief executive, have the internal functioning for check and balance, internal auditing function for checks and balances. So it's a balanced form of government, representative, accountable, and we would think more impactful.
All right, we've heard about the Cuyahoga model, Scott, and also some counties had this in place for decades, we understand.
Correct.
Why? Okay, I guess the big question is, why is this a better form of government? In 18 months, has it worked, at least to this point, for Cuyahoga County?
Well, it's probably early to draw too many conclusions from Cuyahoga County.
All right,
one of the things that the study pointed out that for Summit County, their general fund expenses per citizen compared to Lucas County, which is relatively the same size, is 20% less. So one of the reasons to do this is to try to create an environment that will be more efficient and more responsive to its citizens.
And right now, do you feel that simply is not the case?
One of the things we always say is we respect the people serving in county government right now. They're good people, they're working hard. What we're trying to do is put a platform in place where those serving can be more effective. Many of the people involved now could be involved in this form of government, but putting a strong county executive who has the responsibility to provide the leadership, the vision, oversight of the executive functions, accountable to the electorate, and then balanced by a council that draws from the entire county. Right now, people, say in Waterville, are unlikely to get anybody elected to serve their interest or to communicate their interests to the county. But under this, there's a district where they would elect someone. Same for Oregon, same for the other smaller districts that are political subdivisions there. So there's a chance for that representation. And then what Scott is pointing out gives the opportunity to consolidate functions, be focused, set priorities, and then be accountable as single points of accountability to get things done.
Okay, and what about job creation? Your statement here in this this Cliff Notes version of bullet points says that it creates a better environment for economic growth. Explain.
Do you want to take that, or
Scott?
Well, we think that if government's more efficient and is more responsive to its citizens, that just in and of itself creates an environment that's more conducive to business. I think it's about that simple.
All right. I want to ask our director, Jonathan, do we have those sound bites that we can go to? Our Bill Horman did a piece a week and a half ago on this and talked to some people who would be affected if indeed citizens say yes to reforming county government. Let's take a look at those sound bites if we can.
I'd hate to see this pass and it not work. And then what do we do?
They're trying to force upon us an unproven system, which they hope will save us money. I don't trust it.
It's a blessing and a curse. It's like anything else. You give new powers in new ways. It should be effective, but there's always unintended consequences.
Okay, so we hear from County Commissioner Pete Gerken, Springfield Township Representative Andy Glenn, and we also hear from Bernie Quilter. So all people who would be impacted by this. And Tom, why don't you take that, respond to what they have to say?
First point, one of the spokesmen said that we're trying to force something on them. We're not trying to force anything on anyone. The principal motivation for bringing this to community is to have the community have a healthy debate on whether county government could be improved. That's why we want to get it on the ballot. Reasonable people can differ, but the community ought to stand up for the proposition, let's explore ways to improve. If the community decides that's not what they want to do, it will still have been a successful mission to have that debate. So we represent no constituency, and we're not running for office. All we're trying to do is get a healthy debate. That it's untried and untested, that's not entirely accurate, because in Summit County, that form of government has worked. And in the reports in Cuyahoga County are that the early returns are
so
good.
far. Yeah.
So far. Nobody can make a greater claim than what would happen. In fact, here, you got to get good people. They got to be motivated to good things. But what we can do is create a platform that if they're motivated and effective, they can do it better.
And if people feel that this is going to be a good change, let them decide.
Let them decide.
Right? Okay.
We really just want to have that debate, get it on the ballot, and then have a healthy debate, and everybody will be happy with the outcome because they will have had a chance to make a choice.
All right, Citizens for a Better Lucas County have until June 29th?
June 29th.
To get this done. Good luck in your endeavors. We'll see what happens down the road. It's been talked about for years now, reforming county government. We go back to the CEG study and then Ben Conup. Yeah. And so we will see what happens this summer and possibly in the fall election. Thanks very much, Tom.
Thanks for being here.
Tom Dawson and Scott Hamner, thanks very much for coming in on Conklin and Company. We're going to go racing in just a minute. A little segue there, huh? How about that?
Good.
We come back in just a minute.